All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second here. Okay. All right, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. It took about a minute to unfold, but I am extremely happy to have you here with me. Welcome to The Money Cure. I am your host, Reverend Sean Robert Grant. Just so you know, there'll be some silence here. Well, a minute of silence fast, but we'll make it up to you. Anyway, hope you guys are doing fantastic on this lovely Saturday. Extraordinary message. I've been doing a lot of healing within myself, and that's one of the things. If you know me, it's so important to me, and it's something that I feel like I am just so excited and thrilled to share. Speaking of sharing, guys, if you have any type of insight, any correspondence, any feedback, any comments, topics you'd like me to discuss, please, by all means, write to us at SeanG04@gmail.com, SHAUNG04@gmail.com. Once again, there's free resources for you available, uplifterentertainment.com, medium.com/Sean Grant, SHAUNGRANT, and also we have a Money Cure book, right? Money Cure book, Healing Your Relationship to Money and Discovering the True Path to Abundance, on Amazon in paperback and in Kindle. So cop that out when you get a chance. If you have any questions about any of that, guys, let me know in the comments or just shoot me a message at that email that I gave to you in the beginning. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, a topic that I feel like I've been blessed to be put on this earth to discuss in detail. And that topic is financial emotional intelligence. I'm going to say that again. Financial emotional intelligence. And that's, for me, you probably heard it for the first time because nobody else is talking about that under any circumstance whatsoever. And, it's something we need to discuss because the reality is, unless you are emotionally intelligent and emotionally on point around the idea of money and finances, you're going to struggle, right? And there's a lot of different things that allow us to really be held back when it comes to the idea of money and just really being financially independent, financially secure, and eventually financially free. And so I want to discuss with you today some of those things we can sort of look out for that can really help us to accelerate us along the path of our journey with money. Because, well, this is the Money Cure. So that's what we're going to talk about. So where I want to start is growing up. I grew up, and this is what's interesting. This is how what's so compelling to me is how different all human beings are. Like how extraordinarily different we are in our upbringings and how we feel about things. And so the one thing you got to have more than anything else if you're going to deal with people is compassion, right? If you don't have compassion, you're not going to make it dealing with people. So it's stepping into the idea of compassion, the concept of compassion coming directly from the heart and realizing that everybody has a different upbringing. Okay. And so my upbringing, I'll share with you, was phenomenal in every sense of the word. But there were certain instances, and you can always tell what you experienced by looking at your life, right? And looking at how you view life. And that's something, that awareness is something that we must build in every single aspect of life that we possibly can, because I'm going to tell you, once you can become aware of what's happening in front of you, reality, you can start to dig within to see what's causing it. And so growing up in my environment, there was a lot of financial instability. And I'm going to tell you something. It wasn't even along the lines of in my immediate family, because shout out to my mom and even my dad when he was around, we always had everything that we needed. The problem came in was when I got outside of the house and I began to see people who had more, right? Or be exposed to relatives who just saw that basically life was in financial ruin and the only way you can really make money is from the government, right? So that, because I spent a lot of time, I'll tell you right off the bat. Here's we're gonna get deep into this story, or experience rather. My mom, bless her heart, love her so much. She decided she was gonna upgrade. She had enough of dealing with life where she couldn't get what she wanted to get. She had me and my three brothers. And so she decided to upgrade. She got a job with the government, which was really amazing at the time. But the problem was we were little kids. I think I was even a baby at the time, or a toddler or something like that. And she needed a babysitter. And back then, she was just getting rolling. So a babysitter was like a whole nother income you'd have had to account for, or a nanny or something like that. So my grandmother, bless her heart, and all the love she gave, she decided to be our sitter, our nanny, if you will. And she was amazing at it. But what I realized is during that time, there were a lot of instances that showed me that life, and we're talking just around money, that when it came to finances, there was a lot of financial instability, a lot of financial deficiency, a lot of financial insecurity, inadequacy. I mean, I can go down the line. It was just compelling. And this went on. I can tell you, my grandmother watched me until I was ready to go off to school at 5. So if you understand the science of it all, our subconscious mind is working and accruing and registering all these things around us from the ages of when we're in the womb until we're like 7 years old. So at a very young, impressionable age, my grandmother was sharing these ideas. And here's the thing. She was only doing what she was taught, right? And that's all you can do until you come to an awareness where you can change it. You're only going to do what you've been taught by other people. So I was exposed to being taught how to be financially insecure and how to be financially financially inadequate. And that's how I had interpreted. And so, would you know, I took that on, and that began to color my entire financial life all the way into, like, literally not very long ago, right? It colored every single experience. There was always this case where, see, I never had a problem with money, and that's what I want to iterate. That is so important. Our issues are never with money, right? It's never with money. It's the ideas and the emotions around money that cause us to struggle, that cause us to live in lack, that causes us to be upset about things. When you come down to it, you realize a lot of times we're doing really well when it comes to money, but it's the emotions around it that really kind of set us back a lot. So, in experiencing that financial inadequacy and insecurity, I had to go to a place of a higher consciousness, a higher awareness. Because, Einstein said the consciousness that created a problem can't be the same consciousness that fixes it. So you have to go higher. You have to go to a higher level of understanding to figure out what it is that's happening. And so then I look back in hindsight and I realized, although I had made so much money over the course of my life, there was always a feeling of insecurity around it, right? I wrote a Medium article and I wrote down all of the occasions where I had received like a really, really large amount of money. And so, we'll say that's relative, but I'm talking like you're making 5-6 figures in one day, like you're receiving a payday that big, and yet and still, there was still insecurity and inadequacy around it. And as I began to look at that, I realized a lot of it was due to my upbringing, and it caused me to lose a lot of the money that I had because I was so fearful. I was so insecure with finances. I was so inadequate that I had to return back to that space of feeling insecure and feeling inadequate. It's kind of like a thermostat. And T. Harv Eker spoke about, in a book of his, I think a number of years back, he talked about your money blueprint, and your money blueprint being a thermostat. If you know how a thermostat works, it always regulates the temperature, right? If you set it to 74, no matter what's going to happen, like say you open the window on the air conditioner, it goes up to 76, the thermostat, the temperature is going to regulate itself back to 74. Now, when we look at that from a financial standpoint, if I have a belief or an idea that says I am financially insecure, I am financially inadequate, right? Guess what? Life, through the universal mind, is going to regulate right back to that financial insecurity and inadequacy. And I laugh about it because I went through it and it was really, really tough. Like, it really made me extraordinarily angry about all the things that I was doing. And it's just one of those things, man, where I just couldn't figure it out until I really dove within myself. And when I dove within myself, I began to see the pattern. And you want to get excited when you see patterns, because patterns help you to become emotionally intelligent. It tells you what you're doing over and over and over on repeat. And so once I realized what I was doing over and over on repeat, I was able to find the cause and find the source of it, right? The root cause and the source of that issue, and then rectify it. Now, I'm going to tell you, when I was having this problem, I had neck pain. I had pain in my fingers. If you know, the fingers are the reflexology points of like the different organs and stuff like that. So the body is basically the subconscious mind outpictured. Anytime you have pain anywhere, soreness, it's the subconscious mind letting you know that there's something brewing in there that you need to take care of. And so for me, the biggest part of taking care of it was starting with the emotions. So I realized that I would have all this money, and then I would get down to a place where I was just completely financially inadequate, right? And that means like not being able to pay bills, not being able to do certain things that I wanted to do. And I got so angry. Now, a lot of times you think, okay, it's bad to get angry, but that was part of the solution. It wasn't until I got so angry, like literally angry like a child, screaming, punching, kicking. It wasn't until I got that angry that I was able to realize the reality behind what was happening. Because once I cleared the anger, then my intuition, the divine, was able to reveal to me what was actually going on. And I saw it, and it took me back to my childhood, where repetitively, over and over and over, repetition is something that can train the subconscious mind very easily, as well as like strong desire and emotion. And it took me back to that time where it was just nothing but financial insecurity. Every single person around me, for the most part, experienced financial insecurity. Oh, well, we don't have enough. Oh, money don't grow on trees. Oh, y'all think I'm made of money. What y'all want me to do? I ain't got that kind of money. Like, and when that's put into your head over and over and over and over and over again, here's what tends to happen. You believe it. You believe it. And you not only believe it, but then you start to act upon it. You start to behave, right? I always tell my wife, and I tell everybody, you want to know who somebody is, pay attention to their behavior and the results of what they got in life, and that will tell you exactly who they are. They can't lie about it, right? It's always going to show you exactly who that person is. And this is exactly what was showing up in my life. Didn't matter how much money I had. I tell you, I got, I think it was $208,000 one time in one day, right? And I was still financially insecure. I was still inadequate. I was still like, because you know what happens, right? You don't have any money, you're upset. And then you get a whole bunch of money, and then you're upset because you think you're going to lose it. That's financial inadequacy. That's financial insecurity. And until you can heal that, you will never, ever learn to be at peace with your money, no matter where you are. When you do heal it, you can have $2 and you're at peace because you are financially secure. You are financially stable and adequate, right? So I really wanted to share this because this is something that we all need. Like, no matter where you are, you can be a multimillionaire, or you can be somebody that's just, working a job and, just enjoying the simpler things in life. But the reality is, you know, if those emotions aren't dealt with, they will run and predicate so many different types of patterns in your life. And you'll just think to yourself, it'll start to sound like, oh man, I can never get ahead. Oh man, I never have enough money, right? Like, so I've done my movie that my movie that I'm doing with my brother, Ring Warriors. It's a short film we got going that's gonna, transform into something different. And I've been doing a crowdfunding for it, and it's gone really well, considering. But some of the stories that I've heard, you know, shows me how much of an epidemic financial, emotional unintelligence, right, is in our society. People will work and work and work and make loads of cash, take care of everything, and still be stressed out, right? Still be nervous, still be afraid, still be scared, right? To give even like the smallest amount. Like that's the thing that is so compelling to me. Like, to give $10 is not going to tear the house down, but this is the reality of our society, right? That people are afraid, people are scared to let go of their money. Why? Because financial insecurity, financial inadequacy, financial instability. So, how do we change this? Well, I would need like 10 episodes to really work you through it, but I'm going to give you the fast track version right here, real quick. Think about how you grew up, right? Think about how your parents behaved around money and around you and around your siblings. Think about your relatives and how they behaved. The more than likely, the individual you spent the most time with is the one that is truly going to shape your financial standing. And then you look at some well-off people, they have no problems with it because they've been taught to feel completely secure around money, but then they pick up issues in other places. But for the sake of the money cure, really think about, who did you spend the most time with? Was it mom, dad, brother, sister, grandma, grandpa, uncles, aunts, neighborhood friends? And what was their dealing with financials, right? Because I'm going to tell you something. Even if they didn't say anything about it, you can still pick up the financial stress on a subconscious level, right? Nobody has to say anything, but kids are so receptive and intuitive. They know when you're stressed out. They just know it. They're like, okay, yeah, you got some problems going here. But the reality is, once you understand what the financial temperature was in that area, for your household and for your environment, you can see what kind of beliefs you're carrying. Now, most people might try to say, well, I'm doing well financially, but take away that job, right? Take away that financial source, and then all of a sudden you got to deal with. This is why I respect entrepreneurs so much, because as an entrepreneur, you got to deal with your shit. You're no longer picking up a paycheck from somebody anymore that's giving you, cash every couple weeks. No, that goes out the window. I can't tell you when my paydays are. I trust, I have faith, and I know that I'm financially secure, so I know it's going to show up. I know that I'm financially adequate now, so I know it's going to show up. But before you get to that point, you take away the job source, and it's a rude awakening for so many people. Why? Because you got to deal with the financial environment, the financial temperature or blueprint that you've been given as a child. So once you know that, take a look at how your life patterns out. And I'll give you an example of mine. So my life would pattern out in a sense of, no matter what happened, I would always not have enough, right? It was always inadequate, right? It was always insecure. It was inadequate, and the inadequacy caused insecurity from a financial standpoint. And I'm telling you, it didn't matter how much it was, right? It would be to a case where If I wanted a $300,000 house, I would only have $275,000, like stuff like that. If I wanted like the $60,000 car, I would only have like 55,000. That's how it showed up in my life every time, right? $10 million home, if I would have had those emotions still, I probably would have wanted a $10 million home, but I only had $8 million to put towards it. That's the emotions that was running true in my system, in my consciousness. So it outpictured itself at every stage of life, well into my 30s, late 30s, right? All the way down through kindergarten. And it pictured itself every single way you can imagine possible, no matter how much money I was bringing in. And I got a really strong money consciousness. But no matter how much money I was bringing in, it was always, 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 guys, always not enough. And it wasn't until I took a step back and said, okay, I got to go within and see what was causing this. And when I found out what was causing this, because it was also manifesting as physical ailments in my neck and in my index finger, once I was ready to dive into that, that's when I was able to see, okay, there's financial inadequacy here, there's financial insecurity here, and now it's up to me to take care of it. It's up to me to rectify this ship and become completely financially, emotionally intelligent before I decide to move on. Because I'm going to tell you something. I could be a multimillionaire and have this issue, and people will be looking at me like I'm crazy when I say it's not enough. It's still not enough. It's still not enough. It's like, well, when is enough enough? The thing is, money can never be enough. It's the emotions within you that have to be enough, right? They've got to be regulated. They've got to be processed. They've got to be unstagnated, sort of, in a sense, and released. And once that happens, then we can start to see peace around it, because that is what financial emotional intelligence is. It's peace around the idea of money and everything in regards to it. So, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. It's this is a topic I love, but we can take a long time to really, really discuss, and you need time to discuss how to get into it and how to do your best with making sure that you're in a position to really be financially secure, adequate, and stable. And so it really comes back to diving into those emotions. So I'm going to leave it there. Please share this podcast if you feel like it's helped you or benefited you. If you have any feedback, once again, write to us, seang04@gmail.com. Free resources, once again, uplifterentertainment.com. And we also have medium.com/Sean Grant for articles on money, finance, whatever you want. There's a lot of stuff you can check out on Medium. And then if you want to support us and buy the book, you can select The Money Cure, Healing Your Relationship to Money and Discovering the True Path to Abundance on Amazon in either Kindle or paperback. It's a great book, short read. It's meant to be that way so you can be in a space where you can just read it and study it and learn more. And that book really deals with financial, emotional intelligence. It is quite wonderful, if I do say so myself. But with that being said, guys, I am going to get out of here. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful Saturday if you're listening present time, or a wonderful day if you're listening to this in the future. And we will talk to you soon. We love you. Take care. Bye-bye.